again, really grateful for those of us who join us here and get all the live. But I know that Michael's got a lot to talk about today. I wanted to ask you, because I know you've been alluding the Vanity Peace Fair from 2006. So what was that about, and how does that speak to us today?
I wrote a piece in 2006 on what I thought was going to happen in the next part of American history. Everybody laughed at me. They said, not everybody, but most people thought it was ridiculous. And Vanity Fair bought the piece, and at the last minute, they said they didn't have room for it. My agent at the time said, call them up and tell them to take your column out and put that piece in. So they had to do it. They didn't want to do it because they thought that Obama was going to save the world and that everything was going to be bright and shoozy. I saw a darker future. And of course, it all came to be true. So Vanity Fair very kindly has kept it up on their website. It's up on their website now. They've kept it up for, 11 years? They've kept it up on their website for 11 years because it's an important piece. And it really brought a lot of attention to astrology and certainly my work in astrology. I was very interested in the transits of Pluto and the recurrences therein. And so when it came time to, people have been asking me, write more, write more, write more. So last year I started a large book on the subject, but I realized, here we go, it's the publishing issue. I'll spend 3 years writing the book and already be behind the times. So I just wrote a 50-page monograph called Boom, The End of Life as We Know It. And I said in that book that we published it in October of 2016.
It's on Amazon.
It's on Amazon, right. And I said, in that piece, I said, on November 9th, at about 1 o'clock in the morning, the life that we knew is over. Because we are beginning a world revolution. And a world revolution is not even just Pluto. The world revolution we're in has to do with planets that have been discovered since Pluto's discovery. It's a bigger thing than we could ever possibly even imagine at this point. So of course that came true. Now I'm working on the next piece, but this is I can't really tell yet.
What year was that? What year was that when you said at this time at 1 o'clock in the morning on this day? What year were you talking about?
Well, I published it in October of 2016, October 9th. And I said something like a month from now on November 9th, 2016, in the middle of the night, the life that we had been living is over. Because I saw what was going to happen was that, I believe it was Mars. Mars was going to go from 29 Capricorn to 0 Aquarius. I think it was Mars. And it was going to happen that night. And I felt that that would be a precurrence. That's not a recurrence, it's a precurrence. I felt that that would be a precurrence to the Pluto arrival in Aquarius. So I thought that that's why you can't predict things exactly, because events happen earlier than they're supposed to, or sometimes later. So I thought that that was going to be the complete reversal of what everybody was thinking was going to happen. And of course, it did happen that way. I turned out to be right. Sometimes you are, sometimes you're not. But that has really started the ball rolling. And life, as we knew it in America, will certainly never be the same. And it's a domino effect. All around the world will also feel that. It's also what happens when one system falls or collapses or goes through a huge transformation. Many, many of the others follow. So that's what I thought was going to happen. So it all started with that 2006 piece, and that I'm preparing volume 2 of Boom to come out in September. I'm giving a talk on September 28th. If we seal the deal, we're talking about doing this. On September 28th, I'm going to give a talk on the history and future of money in the United States from the American colonies to the 21st century, using Pluto again. And what's amazing is that when we give that talk, I'm pretty sure I'm going to do it. When we give that talk, Pluto will be where it was for the Boston Tea Party. So that it's a Pluto return of the money revolution that took place just before the American Revolution. But that's what we're going to be working on now for September, because on September 28th, Pluto makes its station, enters the third decanate of Capricorn, which is Taurus. And on that day, Pluto stops moving and the moon conjoins Pluto on that day. So that's the day we've chosen to do this. And right now we're calling it the day that time stopped, but I'm not sure that's the title. But that's what I think I'm going to do. So it's exciting.
Someone asked about using Mars for prediction, particularly political, as you're using it in terms of world events. How do you understand that?
It wasn't so much Mars, but Mars as the lesser malefic, you want to watch it anyway, but not necessarily political. The thing is that I've been watching what happened historically from Capricorn to Aquarius, all the way back through history. Do you know that the Pope Urban II, who began the first crusade, he was the first pope to order that Christians kill Muslims. I believe he is believed to have Pluto in Capricorn. So Pluto in Capricorn, historically, if that's true, is the beginning of the conflict between Western religion and Islam. So that's what I'm also working on, that historic, because there was Islam in the colonies was a fact. So that's one of the things that I'm interested in. So back to your question. The fact that Mars was making that crucial switch from Capricorn to Aquarius in the middle of the night in the East Coast of America, on the day of the election, I felt something was going to overturn completely and cause a lot of hysteria and chaos, which of course it has. Some people love it, some people don't. But that's why I chose. I think if there was any other fairly slow-moving planet doing that, I would have said the same thing. Because I believe in the recurrence of cycles, and I believe in the foretelling of precurrence of cycles. For example, let's say you get mad at your father. You're not going to speak to your father ever again, right? You had a big fight. And then I see that in 2021, Saturn is going to go in progressions from retrograde to direct. I would predict, maybe I wouldn't tell the client immediately, but I would predict that there would be a détente, there would be a reconnection, a mending of something from Saturn retrograde to direct that would take place between you and your father. And the reason that I would say that would be, let's say Mars was at that point in whatever sign, and that Mars was now going to pass over the Saturn, then I would be able to see that 3 years from now, something would occur to mend that fence. And that's how I would make a precurrence prediction. Complicated.
Well, it's brilliant, actually, because you do have a lot of great techniques. I've taken workshops with you, and I know that all of this adds up to, a skilled astrologer. And I really like what you said about progressions just on a personal level, because yes, exactly as you said, I've seen that as well. Just incredible things where people really have been stuck or were going one way, or things were not going forward, maybe their whole lives, and then the energy shifts and things start to find momentum.
It does, and it works on every possible level. Let's say that you had a progressed sun to Venus when you were 21 in college, okay? So that's a great love of your life. That's a great love affair. And let's say it was really an intense love, there was Pluto involved, Sun, Venus, Pluto. Every year when the sun goes over that point, you'll have a memory of that experience for the rest of your life.
Yes, Sun, Venus, Pluto. That's something to remember. I've had that.
Sure, and the transiting sun every year will reawaken it. Not necessarily with that person, no, but the warmth that came to you from that experience will recur, for sure.
So what are your thoughts about Uranus moving into Taurus? Because we're talking about these big collective cycles right now. What do you think about the fact that Uranus, so from what I understand, you've said that we have this precursor that is showing us something of what Pluto in Aquarius is going to be. So
Right,
what
but
do you think of?
I'm sorry, let me interrupt here. I'm not looking yet at Pluto in Aquarius because you can't get there from here. We have a huge step that we must take all around the world. This is not just America, but there are cynical individuals who will stop at nothing right now to gain control of others. They are cynical, bloodless creatures. Whether or not they're really reptiles or they're just people who are filled with fear. The society is split right down the middle between those who are working for the betterment of others' happiness and the others who are not at all working for other people's happiness. So Capricorn is not necessarily evil, because there are people on the side of Pluto and Capricorn that are working not just necessarily to control others, although competition has never been keener in any profession to gain position. But there are many people working for the betterment of beings. But there is a dark force going on. Pluto is moving across its own south node between now and a year from now. And that is a portal. That's a door that opens for all kinds of people can come in. So when there's a knock on the door, look through the peephole before you answer, because this portal lets in all kinds of forces. So I'm not looking at Pluto in Aquarius yet, although...
So Claire is asking, what can we do? Which is a great question. So Michael, lower your camera a little bit because your mouth is getting, there we go. We want to see the beautiful profile. We want to see the striped shirt. But yeah, Claire is asking, what can we do?
This kind of a conversation about the oceans, about the weather, things that are not talked about in the mainstream media. I have not heard our astrologers, some of my friends are talking about it, but we need to fight for the Earth. The Earth is a planet too in our horoscopes. We're in serious difficulty that is not mentioned. I think as astrologers on the planet Earth, and we're the stewards of the Earth because we're astrologers, I think we need to be much more conscious of what's going on with the water and the food, pharmacology, medication, health and health food, what's going on. And I think we need to be much more aware and vocal among ourselves as a group. I believe that. I think we should not believe the mainstream, and no matter how kooky or crazy a theory or an idea appears from some corner of our world, don't just laugh it off and say it's kooky, because there is something going on, something huge. In America, they're talking Trump, 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 Trump. Trump is the clown that is hired to warm up the crowd before the main event. That you must never forget. So I believe that something vast is happening. It's happening, bring you up Uranus and Taurus. Something vast is happening in terms of money and the change that's going to take place in money.
That's Uranus and Taurus, right? I think that's a big
Pluto
symbol.
and Capricorn. Pluto and Capricorn also has to do with money. That's what the revolution in America was all about. Who was going to pay for what? So we have to be as aware, not as cynical, but as aware of the ferocious and hellacious bid for control that's going on of the people who are innocent and just walking around not aware that it's taking place. This is not a call to paranoia, but we have to answer Claire's question about what can we do. I think we need to be able to be more investigative about what's going on, and it is part of our responsibility to Pluto and Capricorn to awaken our fellows, because the people come to us, they're asking what Claire's asking. What can we do? What can we do is we're doing it. This conversation we're having is I wish the people could talk to me directly. I'm going to do something. I'm going to get a new website in a couple of weeks.